Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I move that approve the minutes for Wednesday, December 5th, 2018. I second that.
all in favor, signify by saying aye. Yeah, I think he was, I should have told that. Matt, do you have something for us?
The permit for CenturyLink to bury a cable is 260 feet long along Auburn County Road.
Just the, right side of it.
Yeah, in the right of way.
That's reviewed.
I haven't showed it to him, it's the standard, you can look at it if you want to, I guess, it's the same thing that we always do on that.
Yeah, do you want to look at it real quick?
This from CenturyLink.
I think this is for boring under.
Yeah, well, no, it's alongside County Rock Road in the right of way. That gives it the thumbs up.
Okay. We need three.
By which?
What's that?
What road?
It's, I'll have to look on the second page here.
Okay.
Oh, one more time. No, it's, Long Spur Road.
What?
Yeah, that's Brown County, it'd be,
So but that's just,
yeah. It would actually be Martin Road,
Martin?
yeah.
So it's near Brown County?
Yeah, that's right. They're born from the county line south, 250 feet.
read that, make a motion to.
I move that we approve the chairman's signing the request for
second?
I'll hurry.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I've got a contract with, Cook Flat Strobel for the, hydraulic survey and, just a regular survey. We're out at, 310 and Cherokee, the culvert. Bridge replacement, bridge right fell through the bridge.
What did they give you? I mean, did they get some feedback?
He, Bob Chambers called, Mike Calderwood at,
Tomorrow?
yeah, and, he said it looked like they were gonna get it done. He was,
We still gotta go through this process,
Yeah.
in order to do that.
but I had him call him before they did anything, and he talked to him, and they got together, and looked like everything was in order. Bob was amazed that it happened, but he said it looked good, and he said that he's gonna try to do this more if this goes through.
Because I had, the lady that lives on that road, wanted to know what we was doing,
Yeah.
so I explained
Uh-huh.
the process that we was trying to go through, and if we, what are we looking at, do you have any idea, I mean, how long this might take?
Hopefully,
I mean, that's,
about a month, about 3 to 4 weeks probably, we're looking at a month.
means we've got the material.
Yeah, as soon as we get it, we can do it in 2 days, as soon as we get the permit.
Might tell them, skip for the holidays and make it move a little faster.
Yeah. Yeah, the holidays are coming up, I'm sure that'll slow it down a little bit.
You just need one signature on this, it's according to this, because we need to
I
authorize
think
the
the chairman
chairman.
signs it.
Okay, I move we authorize the chairman to sign the engineering hydrology report.
I'll second it.
$3,500. Good stuff. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. I guess that beats 40,000.
Mhm.
Let me ask, but I assume that you're still all right on your budget, everything like that, Kathy?
For the,
This, the,
yeah, we're good.
I failed to look at it. We don't have, this you don't have.
Yeah, I didn't get, I believe the budget report come out today, or when does it come out?
No. Good.
I haven't
Well,
got,
that'd be good.
yeah, I haven't got one yet today, but I'm sure we're okay. We've been doing what we on the budget.
Well, this is a week older than that, but,
Probably, look a little, it's got more special machinery money,
Yeah.
special gas,
If,
it's up your budget, not your gas.
the water stays like it has been, we'll do really good. That's all I had.
This, bond trust indenture for the sports authority.
Yeah, that's their last signature.
Need a motion to sign the bond trust indenture for the Atchison Sports Authority Fitness and UFC 377, sales tax revenue bonds, series 2007A, $12,500.
I told you.
second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. closed out, maybe,
Yes. So I'm closed out. Only showed y'all money prior to this, for some reason this one stayed there, so this will be the final one. That's it. Okay, thanks.
It's only good, and more, and more, because I don't do that one.
I don't know, which, where was that at? Which house was that?
North and east side of the courthouse. North side, and the east side, and the first 7 feet, and the north and the install, and coffin on 6 posts.
Oh, that was a proposal that Joe brought in, to fix the handrails on the side, but she didn't make a decision on it.
Well, I think he was supposed to check out, that bid was for just to repair, and we was thinking that we maybe ought to just replace the whole thing.
And he said, right,
Because it had to
ADA
be-
standards, it has to be.
I did look into that, they're fine with using the square, there's no problem with that, it's still authorized or allowed, it may not be preferred, but it's still allowed. So there's no problem with that.
So
So we don't have to replace the whole thing?
It looks like this is broken before,
it had been broken before.
it looks like it, yeah, so I don't know if they want to, if you want to adjust the design of that or reinforce it.
I think somebody hit it with their car, didn't they?
No,
That's
this is
this
the
one.
side. This is on the side out there, it's the middle handrail, it's really wobbly, they break off at the ground level.
Did it find out what happened to the walking, if somebody hit it, or if they reported it?
Oh, yeah, we have reports.
Yeah, we have a-
We had a claim with the insurance company for it.
Take it.
Tom for us to sign.
That Chase? Yeah.
The draft of the notice for the residential, non-residential that will be sending out. We haven't officially ordered them, but postal pre-sort is pretty much ready to go as soon as we approve a purchase order and approve the final proof. And those will be sent out as soon as those two things happen, so if you could just give it a look over, or a once over, and any input before they get sent out.
case you, we're just starting to raise number 4, 5, and 6 on the same page.
For the residential, on the residential side, did you say that we needed to eliminate the 3 bullet points? I don't know if I, because all people are technically allowed.
Well, we changed that in the first sentence there, that any real property owner may.
Okay. So that's still good, change from the numbering.
In that paragraph 4, there should be one, that should probably also say one office here, instead of just saying at the courthouse. Should probably also say in the clerk's office, at the county courthouse.
Okay. Located at the website or at the clerk's office, or
Yeah, I think they,
treasurer's office?
well, I don't know where they are.
Oh, they're downstairs in my office, so basement appraiser's office.
Yeah, sure. Residential misspelled, non-residential,
Yeah, so
non-residential misspelled. And the 31st.
Is the appeal date?
Yeah, I think we have 31st. You got like 30th.
Third.
What's on the other side, I didn't see it.
Leave the two, you know, on one sheet, there'd be 2 separate letters, is that right?
Well, the postal precinct said that they had already purged they still have our, what do they call it? It's the readout, but they don't have the individual information, they just have the total numbers. So, for us, for our purposes, we just send out one, panel, or, 2-sided letter out. Just
That's
because.
gonna cause confusion. How hard is it to, it's only 400.
480 got, if we insisted, then I could probably re-export the,
I think we ought to, I mean, really, in all honesty, because it could be a little confusing.
that'd probably be my only concern would be the confusion side of it. I mean, it's a good explanation, but I don't know if it would.
One of the, you know, your wording where it says the fee was created to fund, I think we need to clarify that it's the supplement funding, because it's not a total funding.
okay.
I do think they should go out in separate mailings. I think that will be confusing if it comes.
Chase, when he quoted you, did he look at doing it both separate as well, or probably about the same amount?
Well, he was actually gonna count the two-sided ads and one-sided.
Okay.
So,
It'd be
it's the same quote, maybe a little different in, postage, because we're designating one residential, one non-residential, but other than that, should be about the same ballpark figure.
So Chase, you get a note of all those changes?
Yeah.
Redraft?
Redraft, figure out how we can get the residential and non-residential separated out. And then, re-quote it, I guess, or have them send an electronic copy of a purchase order, or an invoice.
Once you get that final draft, maybe run a copy by treasurer's office and clerk's office, just so everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
Any more questions for Chase on?
No, I just want to make sure that letter got ready, no time frame on it, that place to be doing, so, would those, would it not be a little helpful if you get that printed to go ahead and have copies? I mean,
Oh, they can be distributed throughout the courthouse.
well, but I mean, have them access if people come in, I mean, they haven't seen the letter officially, at least the treasurer's office has a stack, and that way they can read that and too, so if they understand, they're still gonna get another statement, you know, when you reissue it, but there's some people, I know it's already paid, and, they'll still have a right to come back in afterwards, you know, but what I'm saying is the time frame from when you're gonna start sending this, probably look at Monday, Tuesday next week before maybe some people officially get the notice. And if you have, if some people are coming in to pay, if you've got the copy of this letter, and if they have questions, just all you gotta do is, or if they come down to see you, you have a copy, or the treasurer's office has a copy, they can hand that to them and they can read it, and if you need to explain things to them. So I think it would expedite the process and help cover a little bit of the miscommunication and favor for us to get that letter out. So that's just my suggestion, so whether that makes sense or not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good,
Yeah, I think that's why, after it gets it redrafted, running it by
suggested, given the holiday season, if we wanna actually get it, put to the top of the heap and make sure it gets out and gets to people before the 20th, that was suggested.
What was this time frame as far as mailing?
If we can get them, they don't print anything until the postage for it has been paid, so we can get them as updated copies of everything, but, and then once they get us a quote, we get them the postage and all the fees paid, then they can start immediately. So, and they've already indicated 8,000 letters is not, it's a very small order for them, so it wouldn't take very long.
I think we're already in those changes, so it's get that updated and get in contact with him, Coastal Creek Sword. Do you have like double extra copies of this that we can, we have a couple people here that have been here with us the whole process?
Would you want me to make some corrections first?
Yeah.
And make it two different ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Steve, open meeting or?
I overheard Dave say he had some questions he'd have to ask Chase, so I...
Oh.
May I?
You can ask, yeah, do you need now, or do you have an appointment with him, or?
No, I would,
Okay.
since he's here, I just wanted to ask a question, and it's with the solid waste.
Yes.
I have a dilemma. Thayer Supply Company, I own, 309 Commercial, and we have a building, the old Aaronsburg grocery store. We received 2 solid waste bills. Does buildings create waste, or do human beings?
Well, human beings. I mean,
Okay,
nobody-
so if there's a building out there with nobody in it, no utilities, or no gas, no water, why is there a $240 on that building?
Because for the first year, we had to use the appraiser's office, and some buildings will have 2 different, personal property tax statements. Now,
Well-
the CAMA numbers and the property identification numbers are from we had to use that for the first year until we get our own separate solid waste database in place. So,
Then the second question is, the $240 is put on a vacant piece of property with asphalt, not the building of the correct address where the building's at.
as I said, sometimes, there have been a few commercial structures that, it'll be improved property, but it will not be a structure, so.
Right, so it looks like the bill was put on anything that had an improvement on it, not actually a building necessarily. It was pulled off the tax.
There were some appraisers that we have had some issues, because it works for the appraiser's office, but, you know, there have been very few, but we have had 1 or 2 parking lots be assessed, so.
I mean, and if it was put on the building, it's just, they pulled the wrong address.
They pulled the right address, but it's 2
No,
separate
there's-
parcels.
Well, there's 4 parcels out there that are out there part of that property, and you put it on a parcel, not on a building.
Well,
I mean, there's 3 vacant lots, 2 of them have asphalt, 2 of them, and some have grass on it. But instead of putting it at the real address of the building, 1413 Main, it was put on a no address, just Commercial Street.
mhm.
Well, there's nothing on it.
I understand. And we are working to reconcile all that rent, all
So
those.
how do we fix that? Then the second one is my personal address, out there in the country. The $61 was put on my home, but there's a building on another piece of property that also has $61 on it.
Again, we don't have updated utilities for, I mean, if it's a structure, doesn't say livable or non-livable. Sometimes it'll say garage if it's attached to a building.
What I would suggest,
We have an
But
appeals
doesn't
process.
that kind of ruin your credibility of this whole issue, that it's opened such a big can of worms, and then you start opening these small ones, that all these little issues, that it just looks like it,
Well, even the appraiser's office has an appeals process because they spend year-round and they still have trouble of keeping their information up to date because the volume of what they go through. So every year, you're gonna have some appeals processes, and especially in the first year, when you are taking different bits of information from different departments to create a database, you're gonna have first-year issues.
right,
But
but it would have
that's
looked to
why
me, we would have spent a little more time trying to avoid these issues than just put it out there and then put out 1,000 fires. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to figure out, looking through the bills, which ones have properties and which ones are vacant lots, or which,
Your point on that's well taken, that you ought to appeal, you ought to get with Jason Foxton about doing the appeals on both of those. Those sound like things that could be worked out pretty reasonably.
Yeah.
Pretty reasonably.
okay,
But your point's well taken.
yeah. And we've had a lot of discussion, obviously, about some of those points that you said, but, yeah, obviously, Chase, I don't know if he has appeals form here, but you could probably.
I have one done.
okay, I'll stop
And
by.
he's gonna go down, I think you're gonna go down.
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Revise
I
that.
appreciate that,
No problem.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
thank you.
I think it's minor, I mean, from what I've seen, there's a lot of, I mean, I've heard some people, one guy, he built property on two separate, actually ended up on two different lots, and he got assessed, it should have been assessed one, he got assessed two. So it's just one of those things, that the way the system works.
Right, when you have to use the appraiser's office records the first year, it's gonna have all the right information as far as the appraiser's office is concerned, but for solid waste, if you have 3 different parcels on one property, it's still one building, like you said. The building, I mean, if it's vacant or not, all those variables need to get worked out, and, I mean, yes, if you're afforded more time, you have a little bit, I mean, you'll get an opportunity to work through it, and we just ask for people's patience, and we do have an appeals process so that we can work through the first few issues, so that next year we don't have to do this. And
Okay.
we'll have up-to-date records, so.
We just extended that for, all, until January 31st, that was on Wednesday, we extended that appeals process until January 31st. So, we also reduced by 50% the non-residential rate, so there's some changes that we made since last week, essentially, so.
But only on the residential, so you haven't done the commercials?
No, that's, non-residential.
Non-residential.
We reduced by 50%.
What about the residential rates?
Residential rates, for now are at $61 for residents. Yeah, Chase has, if you follow Chase.
I will.
He can get you some.
Thank you.
Field forms. Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate it.
I think whenever you start something up new like this and the time frame that we had to put this in place, there's bound to be some bugs. It's gonna take a while to get worked out, but we're willing to be fair about it, we can get them worked out.
And I think he's got a pretty good, at least the appeals process that he's working through as money. Obviously, the extension of that appeals process was key too, so. Mr. Bauer, how are you today?
I don't have a lot to say today. I would tell you that we did submit an appeal today.
Okay.
It was based upon basically 3 points. One of them, I challenged the way it was measured, because I think it's an accurate way of measuring. 2, I showed concern for the fact of the ability to make adjustments that had been informed earlier about this. The third one is I offered to put in a cardboard recycle bin for Deffenbach, and that's the part I'm having trouble with. I'm having a moral dilemma, because I really believe so strongly in community and small businesses. And I just figured out I'd paid, since I've been in business I've paid Martin's $25,000 a business,
And how long you been?
11 years. So he goes out and hires people, he buys trucks, pays property taxes in this county. He and his employees spend money in this county. But I'm going to give the business to a multi-international company, who to my knowledge has no employees in this county, does not pay any property taxes in this county. I doubt they pay property tax on the trucks they drive on the roads. I think the unintended consequence, because I'm not the only one that's going to cut somebody off. I'm really having a moral dilemma with that. We're actually we potentially could put somebody out of business.
Well, and that's obviously not the intent.
Well, I know it's not the intent, but it's like,
And we had a meeting earlier this year where we invited, there were essentially 3 non-residential haulers in the county, in Atchison County. That was, Martin's primarily, also Deffenbaugh and Bays, yeah. Out of those 3, only, Deffenbaugh has attended, although I think we were, there's been some early discussion here in the last couple of weeks with Deffenbaugh as far as some non-residential recycling rate, but I think, we had all talked as a commission, is probably trying to re-extend invitation, trying to get Martin's and or Bays.
I don't know what his
Up here.
investment process is, but I will tell you, it's one of the best run small businesses I've ever been in business on. From a personal point of view, they're always on time, do what they promise, and they have a fair price. And
Can't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
you know, but if I gotta just to save a solid waste fee, I gotta pay a multinational company to put in this thing. Is there any other alternative to doing that? And that's,
I mean, all we can do
Solid
is,
waste fee is, is there a fairer way to do it?
You could put it in a recycling.
I don't, again, I'm not sure Martin's, and I'm sure maybe Martin didn't come to your meeting. I don't know the answer to that, guy.
and that's what we're trying to get, that's why I think we were looking at trying to get with.
I don't know what the capital investment is for Martin's, I don't know any of those particular things. The capital investment for Deffenbaugh is the same, but they have a lot deeper pockets. We're all small businesses trying to get along, and I just hate to see us
Yeah.
put some.
I wonder, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to catch you.
I will say something for Martin's. They did have a sickness in the family, they had a death in the family, and that might have been part of the reason why he couldn't attend that, because I know they were going through a hard time right about the time this all went through, so, and maybe we should send another invitation or something.
Yeah, and I think that's what we discussed even a little bit last, when we talked about a lot of things last week, but that was.
Can I just bring my cardboard down to the recycle center?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I was just going to suggest. I don't know if, it doesn't have to be a special dumpster to be a separate dumpster, to be a recyclable.
Yeah, because RSP, they sort, we're paying, we'll probably continue through April at least, to let it,
Yeah.
Why don't you guys re-invite Martin up to talk about it? Maybe I understand his wife passed away, and it's a tough time. I'm just telling you, everybody in this community is fragile as far as small businesses are concerned.
well, here again, but I applaud you for your, recycling. This is probably the one, plus at least people now realize that we've been hauling a lot of recycling stuff off that we could have been recycled. I don't think that may put a dent in Martin's business, but depending on how much, maybe we'll come more recycling, but, what is the state average, 28 or 30, so, we maybe have the potential, if we reach average. Now, if we exceed that, why, I think it'll hurt you more, but I think in all reality, I'm not for sure it's gonna it may have a 20%.
20% of someone's business is,
Well, yes.
I'd be out of business.
Right, I know what you're talking about, that's 20% is significant.
Yeah, I think, our agricultural people this year experienced a significant drop in yield. I'm sure that hurt. And, you couldn't do much more than do a rain dance. But sometimes we have unintended consequences to our decisions.
Oh, I know.
I don't know your volume of your cardboard, but, they keep bins out there at the recycle center. Even if they're not open, they keep bins outside there where you can drop it on.
Mine's very cyclical. I could have tons of it for 2 weeks or none of it for 2 weeks. That's why I challenged the measure stick, but, just keep it in mind, it's just,
Oh, yeah.
I've been having a hard time with this, so.
Yeah, we discussed, I know we discussed that, we're planning on trying to have a meeting with all three especially the commercial, I would call it commercial, but non-residential haulers, those are the ones that, and it's also an opportunity too. I mean, it's not necessarily the end of the world, it's also an opportunity, I think, for him as well, possibly. There were Bays, I don't know what Bays does.
Again, does he have the timing of being able to gear up, come up with a capital? I mean, there's some capital. Did you see the cycle bin down by McDonald's, the car?
Yeah, I did. That's popped up like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, those things are, I don't think those things are $50. I don't think they're probably $4,000. They're expensive.
I'm not sure what Deckenbach charges for those.
$25 every 2 weeks.
Very few.
That's tough. But they get the cardboard.
Well, it's a frequent thought, but, would businesses be able to share something like that, especially in that commercial corridor?
Possibly. It's still gonna come out of Martin's business, or Bay's business.
Unless they're willing to haul recyclables separately.
That's one thing, the opportunity is they could also haul, from Steve Ashland, some of those trucks being converted.
Nice.
They could easily be done with that, that'd be minimal
No,
capital.
we're going with this society. I mean, there's no question about it. We're gonna have to all change. And I wanted to change, it just happened too fast.
Okay. Yeah, we are planning on having that conversation with an extended invitation, so I think maybe Chase gets up here, we'll, or Matt, or who contacted them, was it you? Pat, was it you that contacted all three last time?
Yeah.
Or maybe I just,
Yeah, we could sure do it again.
I think it'd be a good practice.
Bay, I talked to because he does my office, and he kind of said he didn't have much interest in coming, but he's on it now.
But he's a pretty small piece of the puzzle, I think, isn't he? But he does a lot of offices and stuff, so.
Mhm.
I hate to see him out of business, because what would you do with that?
I don't know, I'd probably take it home.
Take it home, right? Because I keep hearing that, I'm taking mine home now.
I've heard that too.
Well, I don't know, I suppose if he quit doing it, then everybody on the block would be in the same boat, and we'd maybe I'd rent some.
Yeah, I'm sure he needs to
dumpster
use that, I'm
space
sure
for
he's
somebody
going to
else.
quit.
I mean, I might go over to Willie's and see if I could get $25 a month, throwing my stuff in their dumpster.
I talked to a friend of mine up in Nemo, they run it different, they do have a solid one, but I mean, just basically take a CND, or if you, I don't know what, but they basically have an independent local guy that handles basically the whole trash in Nemo. So I mean, that gets back to your, great point about keeping it local, but their fees are pretty high. This guy now runs a dairy, but I still know he burns a lot of his stuff, but it costs him almost $1,000 a year for that trash, so it's easiest to leave out, the country.
Yeah.
And, so I mean, those are always things I think to look at. I mean, I think we always gotta be looking. It doesn't mean you have to do something, but I mean, my life was built, and I was raised in the 80s in a tough farm, really, really tough farming. And I was always looking, if I could save a penny here, a penny there, or if I could get my chores, when I was a little younger, if I get my chores done a little sooner, I'd learn how to carry 2 buckets of grain or 3 buckets of grain, so I didn't have to make that extra trip back. And I've always developed that mentality. Every day you should be looking at little things, and a whole bunch of little things make a lot of big things. I'm
Walmart-
sure you do the same.
Walmart makes 3 cents on every dollar,
Yeah.
so they're,
There's volume.
so it's, so you have a lot of dollars.
Right.
That's what retailing is, it's not 20%, it's 4 or 5, 3%.
Yeah, and you got some things coming down that might squeeze you more.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what you're talking about, we're all gonna be dealing with that,
Yeah.
and it's a little scary. It's a little scary.
Pat, I'd suggest probably maybe just touching base with all three of them again. And
You want to set a date?
we're pretty much really open the rest of the month. outside of that, or even early part of January.
I am not planning to be on the 26th. I meant to tell you that before.
I would just shoot it open, like, as far as, if there's a date between now and January. In that first week of January, that'd be 4 weeks.
Matt, don't you think it?
3 weeks.
It's a good
I
thing,
don't know if
maybe
that's too soon.
to invite or encourage one of them, somebody from one of those firms to be on the solid waste committee.
January 2nd, I have something down for
Yeah.
Joe Bowen on the lintels at 10. So
For when?
January 2nd, I don't have that written.
Oh. That's not till next year, so.
Next year's, so,
Yes.
If you did invite one of those, it's a good idea, would that be a conflict of interest if they had to bid on that as well, then, if you had one, I mean,
Bid on,
removing cardboard, say, or if you had, let's say you had Marcus on the board, and they bid on moving the trash, would that be a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good, but then it's bad.
Oh, if they were on the solid waste committee. I thought you were talking about
Oh.
coming to the meeting.
He said, Mike mentioned that.
I didn't know, I just threw it out, wasn't for an advisory, I mean, because to me, the committee's only advisory. I mean, I realize you may have a fine line there, but you know,
some of it is advisory, part of, advisory person to the committee too.
well, that's true. They could be an actually ex officio member or something like that, I mean, because, you know, sometimes, I mean, they're involved and you need somebody that's got a little more expertise, you know, and stuff, on some of that stuff. But, so yeah, like Jack's pointed, maybe an ex officio member, so.
Do you want to maybe have this after the 14th,
Yeah,
after the new commission takes office?
that's so agreeable with Tom.
mhm.
Too late.
That's fine. Anything you can wait till after 4.
Tom, come on.
You wanna break it
Bill
in?
is young and
Break it in
ambitious,
good. Okay.
intelligent, he knows what he's getting into.
Any of the bills that we can't pay, let him address from January 14th.
Yeah, there you go. You come up with shortfall in solid waste about the middle of the year.
I'm happy, I mean, I still think that this dry year, I mean, it's amazing that we are gonna have, it is, you know, I'm not saying that you may not have something surprising, but there may be a little bit extra this year for the first time ever, I think, so. How much, I wish we could measure, I mean, you hate to say something positive of the drought, but, you know.
Is there anything in the budget, in case there is a big shortfall, that instead of paying it all this year, spread that payment out, or is that done agreed upon? In the
Like,
budget.
as far as like the solid waste fee,
Anything, is there anything that you could spread the cost over 1 or 2 years, if there was a big shortfall, and take some of that money used, or you can't do that?
you know, depending on, the way that it's set up right now, if, even with like a 10%, due to, appeals process plus the reduction in the 50% on the non-commercial, I mean, right now, we would still be able to operate, it'd be pretty tight if there was something major that would happen. That's including still a cash carryover balance on solid waste, then, you know, our other option at that point would be to, we'd probably have to sit down. I think it might come up here, here in early January, maybe a countywide summit, as far as what will be the future, you know, as far as funding, getting through into 2013, you know, because I think we're gonna have all the stakeholders in that meeting as well. Probably a good topic to bring up at that point. I mean, other than that, you know, hopefully the goal would be to get solid waste committee set up, you know, by January, and their task would be, you know, we're gonna be, it looks like, budget-wise, we should be in pretty good shape, get through into April, May, maybe June timeframe at the latest.
Yeah, I mean, I think by May, we'll kind of have a pretty good idea about on the solid waste thing and stuff. I mean, you know, that, you know, the sales tax isn't a terrible thing. I mean, you know, this year was a little better year than normal. So, I mean, I think that's part of the reason, you know, we're showing it, because we've been able to use more money, more sales tax money there to help us in solid waste. And I know, you know, I don't think, Jack, it never hurts to have a little bit of a cushion, knowing with the sales tax, how variable that could be. I mean.
If you look at 20 years history, there's variances, but they're minimal.
Yeah, yeah.
And sales, business has been better than it was 2 years ago, but it's still got a ways to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure automobiles are holding us up.
Well, I'm just thankful we got a dealer back in town, you know,
Yeah.
because you stop and think about it, that, and of course, that, when they come in with that user thing, where we started to recapture some of that sale, that, if you notice that, that's give us a boost there too, so, and, you know, I talked to somebody the other day, and I said, you know, I realize you can't predict it, you know, tornado comes through and wipes Walmart out.
Well, the caldera could go up in Yellowstone and kill us all.
Yeah, right, I'm just saying, yeah.
And the Mayan calendar is the 21st of December, it's the end of the world.
Yeah, we're, you know, there's a whole series,
dangerous to get-
you know, History Channel, and last night they had 6 straight hours talking about that.
Yep.
You wonder why people get, you know, totally caught up in it. I just want to hear what they had to say, because I got.
I'll talk to you the 22nd.
We're still here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, are you here to listen or?
No, I'm just here to listen,
Okay.
and then I'll complain at the end.
You have an appeal, you want to talk to Chase,
Yes,
get him up.
He should be back up, yeah, he went down to, redraft some letters. Get a couple things.
Yeah, has Tex called you anything about Slycall yet?
No.
Okay, I'll try to get a hold of him, because we're getting down to the point that, because they was gonna, remember, I think they told you they was gonna talk to you about, we wanna make sure that we handle the procedure right of transfer, you know, so, you know, I know, because we're we're transitioning into the sheriff, and that was John's vehicle, and I realize it's county property, but we need to make sure that we have some compensation or somehow that we reimburse the sheriff.
Do they have the car? Do they have physical custody of the car?
Yeah, he turned it over to him last week.
Oh, did he? Okay.
I know,
I didn't.
yeah, they dropped it off at the county shop, but it's getting serviced right now.
Okay.
And I know Pat said, EMS guy dropped it off, but.
They're coming up on Wednesday, right? Yeah.
Even this is, or the Texas?
Isn't it?
No.
I thought we were having them come up this week. Texas, I thought they were coming up this week.
No.
They're not going.
We talked about having him up, but
Well, yeah, I think it was, they're willing to come up, that we could set up appointments, so they'd be glad.
I mean, I didn't set one in stone. I called Sarah with, on the elevator, and she's gonna come up on Wednesday, when we do the closing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we're having them come up.
Do you want me, I can get hold of Brett and see what works for me, because we still got, there's a couple open, see whether one of those dates is that okay, the 17th or 19th?
Yeah, I'd say get them up here sooner the better, probably, especially
Just to
before.
give us a total update.
Yeah, they need to give us an update on where they're at and
Okay.
transition.
Well, I think we do need to address, I mean, there is a value to that car, and how we reimburse the sheriff's department, I think, you know, I'm sure we got some money probably capital outlay or something, but we need to make sure that there's some kind of a reimbursement, so that they have he has something to buy another used vehicle with or something, so. Want to know if January the 10th would work for the county summit. I had just a brief meeting with Trey and then Kirk, along with Representative Effingham, who's hosted it, and we just kind of went over the agenda. And this is subject to you guys' approval. Our addition is that the all three legislators seem to have that date open or available. So we allow them a presentation, a question and answer period. We wanted to talk about the revitalization program. It may be a little problem, I just happened to run across Don Ball down here in the court. He says they got a board meeting that day, he starts at 2 and sometimes will last till 6 or 7. But if he was on the program, then maybe he would possibly try to attend and make just a brief presentation. And then we will begin discussions on the future of the sales tax, so just get some ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
So
So in the evening on the 10th?
Start at 6 p.m., there'd be a meal that was gonna be catered by, we'd have to host that, and,
My son has a basketball game at 4:30. I don't know how long it takes, I think Valley Falls.
you'll be halfway there. Valley Falls is 15 minutes, and I think yeah, the meal wouldn't start till 6 o'clock.
Oh, it's your,
We kind of agreed that if Nathan Everline would come up, that he would be kind of a moderator for the evening, if that's agreeable with you guys.
Yeah, I think the 10th would work fine for me, so.
At the Blue Building in Effingham, or where?
Kirk was going to talk with their clerk and make sure that it was available. And so that's, this is tentative for amongst the commission's approval. Why, if everyone here is in agreement for that, why we will set that. And I think Trey said one of their commissioners couldn't make it, but if they was gonna try to, they had Wi-Fi, they was gonna try to hook up so that he could, was it Skype? I don't know what you call it. Do you know what it's called, Mary? Is that called Skype?
There's something stuff, yeah.
So, and, so that they could listen in, so otherwise, that worked for them, and, I plan to attend the Muskota Council tonight, and Effingham, Lancaster Tuesday to inform them, so if that's agreeable with you. Guys, let's say.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with the 10th. So 6 o'clock until 8?
We got to 9, I told him to reserve the building till 9. You know, I don't know, it's better to stick around, visit afterwards and stuff, so. And you gotta figure a good half hour to eat and stuff.
Nathan.
Everline, yeah, he's, with Kansas Association of Counties, he's,
Okay.
yeah, he's actually, some of the, I know workshops I know we went to have, kind of encouraged counties to have more, meetings, and my understanding is that, I think any of the, mainly the dialogue will be between the governing bodies, but it could be an open meeting for people to sit and listen, and you or us invited. So, we'll need to send a letter out, to each of the councils, and let them, and they need to get back with us. I'd say right after the first year on head count, how many they have coming from each of their, representative councils. I have a feeling a couple of them, we'll only send a couple, but, so, to do this. Like I said, I will meet with those others, tell them face to face, but I think we need to send them a formal letter so they know the particulars, so. I think we ought to have Jim Lampy come up here, because he had said something to me about not knowing whether they really needed to fill Tony's position. And I'd like for him to explain to us whether that's reasonable or not. So, I don't want to shortchange our, he thinks Roger can do, but I think, my understanding, he would like to move Roger back in over his department rather than the IT department. So, don't know what that would take, but I'd rather him come up and explain, because he just briefly said something to me with the bridge thing, that may be a possibility, so I would say, have him come up, next week, maybe, meet with us, because we may have all we can do with the lunch on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're gonna pull out for Wednesday.
Do you want to see if he can come up Wednesday?
Let's have it on Wednesday.
Okay. So you want him, probably 11 o'clock?
Yeah. We won't get- The closing the CDB grant won't take very long.
It shouldn't.
No,
The other
what-
thing should,
Are they gonna talk about, are they gonna have us a report on the malfunctioning problem?
yeah, but it should take any longer than,
Okay.
at 11?
Well, you wanna put him at 10:30 if he's, Luke, you wanna put him at 10:30?
Move it to 10:45. That should give us enough time.
Did you have something else for me, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Knowing what we may be facing too in the budget and stuff, particularly on the solid waste, I know you was gonna try to pre-bid all that this year. ahead
On
of
the
time.
fuel?
On the fuel.
Uh,
Is there any advantage, could we bid like 8 months and then just roll the dice? Bid part of it and stuff. Typically, later in the summer, sometimes that stuff has a tendency to start coming back down. Not always, but,
yeah, we can do any amount,
well, just so we don't, because if we got, and I guess my other question is, did we have any like carryover, like the road and bridge? You bid about.
Road and Bridge, we're gonna have a little bit of carryover this year, just because, we had such a mild winter, we didn't haul as much asphalt, so we didn't use, we used all of our, diesel. So we're gonna have some carryover on, Clear, and it'll just roll over into next year.
And that was one of my other questions, is, here, I guess when you bid that diesel, you had it lumped together, but some of that is dyed and some of it is undyed.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so
It was just for solid waste though, wasn't it?
No, that's on Road and Bridge.
Road and Bridge.
With the 50,000?
No, see, we're talking, I'm sorry, I'm getting,
Okay.
this year he wanted to pre-bid, or, pre-contract for solid waste, we never have.
Mhm.
He's always pre-contracted for Road and Bridge.
Okay.
And I just noticed in going back over the budget, your budget request, it said diesel. And I think, well, surely the road graders use dyes,
Yeah.
but your other trucks, of course, have to use
Correct.
equipment. And you have a lump fee, and I said, well, I know there has to be a little difference in
Yeah.
price there.
Yeah.
So, okay, all right. Well, that's, so you have a little carryover, you say?
Yeah, we'll have, carryover in, Road and Bridge, and I'm gonna also track that off of what we're gonna bid this year, and I'll probably back that much more down on the next year's bid, because so far we're having a mild winter. I'm hoping that our roads are in pretty good shape again next year, so I'll take that into account and look at it and back it down, try to, it's not about right.
Well, my only concern on solid waste, we want to make some adjustments and stuff, but I didn't want to expend and knowing how, of course, with the way the new budget.
Yeah.
We do have probably more flexibility, but I'd hate to overbid, you know.
Yeah, actually, on the solid waste side, I was see where our prices are, and I was planning on backing that down a little bit anyway.
Mark Meyer, 0216.
What's in there, Mark?
I thought that's what they said, yeah, they must have hit the wrong.
Me or Larry? Larry.
Oh, I thought they said Mary.
Yeah, I thought they said Larry.
You tell everybody where you're at, you know?
That's the office.
So, okay, that's, all right, that answers my, that's
Yeah.
no biggie, I just wanted to.
And that 50,000, that was shooting a little bit high anyway. Fuel was down, you know, I figured budget on the fuel was up there quite a bit higher, so it's gonna be less than that anyway.
Do you have the exact figure, that brings up another question. That I've been meaning to ask, and I just forget with everything else going on, there's a surcharge, right now we're paying Waste Management, pretty good little surcharge, because the original contract was based on $3 or something, $3.
$3.
Do you have any idea what the estimated surcharge is costing?
I don't know right now off the top of my head, but I'll have it Wednesday for you.
Okay. Is it based on ton, or, per trip?
It's based on, price of diesel fuel.
And it goes on a week, they figure that every week, or they go?
I believe that is I think it's
Bi-weekly.
bi-weekly, I believe.
But is it by the pound or by the trip?
No, it's based off it's based off
Just
the
a gallon.
calculation, so it's so many cents or so much a percentage fuel surcharge over $3.
For every 10
National
cents
standard.
over $3, it's 2%. That's what it is.
Okay.
Which is probably with the national.
Well, I'm just trying to, try to check, because, we haven't made our decision for sure, but, we stick with Waste Management for the first 3 months.
What's diesel on, probably 380, something like that? Is it around 380 probably for diesel now?
Now?
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
The
But
380, that'd
they
be,
base it on a state deal, it doesn't matter what it is here, I think we're
right,
trying to
right.
state established.
I'm just trying to get a rough idea here. It'd be, so it'd be 16% extra, somewhere around
Over,
there.
so that's, you
Uh-huh.
add 16% on to the 34, 35.
Just right, yeah, it'd be about 16% over 35.49 we're paying right now.
So, looks to me like that'd be close to $6 a ton. That come close to your figures.
That'd be about right.
4117.
But I can look at our invoice
There you go.
and tell you exactly what it says.
Well, I'm just looking ahead, that's,
Oh, yes.
How much we're gonna save.
well, but if we don't, if we stick and go through the contract,
Mhm.
our earlier projected savings won't be near as much as,
Right.
and probably in all due respect, it's probably better to ride it out. But I'd suggest that if you're having any issues with them, don't be afraid to start documenting them or start writing them, because, if that's not gonna get any better,
Right,
knowing that they're gonna be leaving, so.
yeah. I haven't seen anything really,
398.
really come up in the last, month or two, but I'm, like you said, I'm sure that, well, maybe they won't, but, I'll keep an eye on them, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
398. 398 gallon. And the diesel,
So that'd be a little.
It is 390?
so it shows 397.7, so.
That'd be 18% probably.
I'll give Stacy tomorrow and get a up-to-date price.
So, yeah, that, just roughly figure you're here, again, depends on what the trash is, but, you know, that's probably gonna eat, you know, that's gonna be an extra 20,000 that, it's gonna cost us by having that contract.
Was that it?
Yeah, give me a call tomorrow and
All right, Kyle.
we'll go do that bridge at the road and stuff.
Did Pauline give you that map so we can see exactly where that road
I'll
is?
give it to you, it's on, right
Give it to
there.
him.
And blood.
I don't wanna, no, can we get a copy?
Yeah, just, if you can get a copy of that, then we'll know exactly where it starts and stops.
I asked him, actually, my brother asked one guy, and one time he said no problem, next time he said, well, maybe not. There may be a problem, so.
Well, and I want to remind you guys also that down the road, we're planning on replacing the bridge north of there a couple miles, and that would be the alternate route if we replace that bridge.
Which one is that?
This road that they want to close,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The one we talked about last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a bridge that's north of there, about 2 miles, that we had talked about replacing. It's gonna be down the road probably 5 or 6 years out, at least probably, but,
To replace that bridge.
yeah, if we replace the bridge on that, yeah. Find it real quick here. This is, 322nd Road. But it's down the pike a ways, but that would be kind of conflict possible.
Do we ever officially, I don't think we officially decided this, as far as whether we were vacating. I mean, it's a township road first, and then,
That's,
okay.
Well, you have to have a public hearing first before you
Sure.
put it in.
Okay.
well, I think then we determine the other one's gonna have to make the, you know, but we make the ultimate decision.
Well, I think-
They have to use their, you know, it's at their expense to make the notification, is that right, Pauline? Or Pat, is that, yeah. Because they're the
And
ones.
I haven't gotten a letter yet. So they need to do the publication themselves?
They need to do the notice, they need to do the petition, and they need to do the notice. And if they need help with that, they need to hire a lawyer. I mean, we're not giving them legal advice on how to do it. You can give them a copy of the statute. Beyond that, that's,
Okay, because prior years, we said, they presented a public petition and the county did it.
I understand that. I really can't see a good reason why you ought to bear that expense when you're not required to bear the expense.
Those towns, yeah.
So if we do it and charge them the cost, it's not.
I would just tell them it's their responsibility, and then we will address it.
If you want to send me the petition, I can send a letter telling them that.
That'd be the best.
Okay.
this right
You want-
here is that.
You want me to give it to you?
Oh.
That's fine.
There's a bridge right here that we're gonna probably replace maybe 4 or 5 years down the line. I mean, that would ultimately be up to the commission, but we had talked about it.
In other words, is that on your list up there?
Right, yeah, and that would be probably our original detour route. This is something like that. And we can look at that.
Well, there ain't, you know,
No, nope.
Ain't without going almost 3 miles. Because you won't have anything straight through there. There's nothing straight through here. Is this closed here?
There's no road there.
So let me see that does look like a problem.
How many people live in
the only people, let's see. Mike Slattery live right here, and then, I can't think, there's, a house right there, I can't think of. Merle McDermott, Kent McDermott lives right here.
Bridge is somewhere down here, it's further down, so I wonder if maybe we can talk about it. Not that we have to address it now, but
Yeah.
we would be minimal.
Yeah, and I'm sure if we get that far, we'll want to go try everything to look at it, but.
I can see, you know, you usually get by with a 2-mile detour, and or if you're closing the road, or closing the bridge, 2 mile, but when you start looking at a possible 3-mile detour for someone, I think that, I don't know.
And I had told you there was one bridge on that, there's actually 2 bridges in this stretch that.
That they're wanting, oh, yeah, no, I think you said 2.
Okay.
There's one of them there.
One of them that narrow bridge.
One of them's the one we looked at with the handrail, yeah. The guardrail.
Well, are they gonna get this done before you take over? Trustee?
I don't know. I don't
Do
know.
you get sworn in on the
14th, I guess, yeah.
14th?
Well, actually, do I get sworn in, or I actually already signed my paper? So, 14th.
So do we have,
When you guys get joined, you would be in favor of raising it.
well, I think if they're, that they have a right to put it to hearing, and then we have a right to say yes or no. So, I mean, we can't decide. I don't think we have any right to say you can't file a notification.
I'll be surprised if some of the adjoining landowners don't object myself, because I would think they'd want to open, just because you said it's quite a ways around. But if you close that road.
He didn't put an address on here. You have an address here. We could handle something, you know, I've got just a quick thing, that these gentlemen have been sitting here waiting, so.
Jim?
I've got a piece of property at 1119 Kansas Avenue, and from what I understand in the newspaper articles, anything that has been vacant for a year, you didn't have to pay the solid waste on. And this particular one has been vacant for 4 years. And so I just need to know what the process is.
File an appeals form with Chase Brudick. He is downstairs, the basement of the courthouse and the appraiser's office. He's down there right now. It's a fairly simple one. Just go ahead and fill that appeals process. You're gonna have to, you know, have some sort of documentation to show it that's been vacant. That's something that should be a problem.
How do you prove it's vacant? Not bring the utility bills you don't have?
Well, it should have.
Well, they can certainly check with the city when there's
He
water.
can check, yeah.
Did you say 1119 Kansas?
Yes.
We might have to take care of
Yeah,
that.
basically, not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you want me? Oh, you don't want me. Okay, you don't want me. When are you guys thinking about going to the state legislature and changing this blunder? Changing the vote?
Oh, are you talking about?
Yes, we are. We're talking about what got us this problem.
Okay,
You're I know who did it. I know the line that is sent in there. When we're going to the state legislature to change the?
We just set this, January 10th to have a countywide summit with with all cities, all the stakeholders. We're gonna discuss at that point. I can't give you a firm date on legislature, getting into legislature. I don't know what their schedule is, the 13th. That's what we're gonna discuss on January 10th, as far as getting it to them, because we're gonna have our local reps, representatives and senator are gonna be present at that meeting. And, we just tentatively set it for, January 10th, in Effingham at 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
To discuss that and get that process going. So I can't give you a firm date on when. I don't know what the Kansas legislature, they've got obviously a lot of things going on. It would be nice if they can tackle it in 2013, that would be ideal. But at the very least, we're gonna get that discussion going and open it up. in January.
I'm glad you brought that. I mean, I've been on this for.
Well, reading all the Broadway contracts that I do and everything like that, one word, one sentence, it can change your life forever. And that's exactly what has happened here. Someone didn't catch it. And I hope that, with the businesses that we have, that they don't go under and for the whole ordeal. Unless we're using the money to buy the $280,000 trucks or whatever for this thing, but I don't think we are. I think it's just, something that isn't thought out with the deal or with the city or whatnot. Because I know when I talked to Chase, he said, well, we don't know, because the city isn't going to start this until April. And so what are they going to give us, in return? We don't know. In my factory, in my corporation down there, we don't have the city picking us our trash up. We don't have the county doing anything. We take it to the county dump and dispose of it. So it's like, what are we going to get out of this? Which a lot of businesses probably are sitting there wondering, what are we going to get out of this? And I think, the businesses really weren't looking at this special assessment. And boy, did some of them get hit. And I don't know if the hit was correct. I think that some of it wasn't basically thought through. And I would like to, see, I don't think even some of the churches and the schools should even be on this at all. I mean, we pay enough taxes to 409 and the other school district to, and it doesn't make sense.
Well, it comes back eventually to the tax.
Well, and hopefully. Now, the way I'm understanding it is that when we go on in to pay our taxes to Sheila, the treasurer, is it that you're asking us to pay even the amount that we're, like if you're paying half or whatnot, are we paying that fee of what you're telling us on our sheets, and then you're going to give us a check for an abatement, or?
Yeah, that's what we've discussed. It's so that Commissioner Bowden hasn't brought up a point if somebody already paid, or we're getting ready to reissue new notification.
So we are going to release them?
Yeah, but in the meantime, if there's like a gap, say if you come in into next week and you haven't received notification as far as paying that, there's probably going to be some that we'll have to abate back, to the treasurer. But we're hoping that we can get this. He was going back downstairs to redraft up some changes on that letter, but our goal was to hopefully get that thing out here in the next day or two, possibly first class.
Okay.
And hopefully, he'll have a copy. If you come in to pay and you haven't received, we're hopefully going to have copies of the treasurer's office. If you have a question, this letter is going to explain to you what the appeal process is. I mean, if you're a non-residential or you're residential, this is what your options are. I mean, if you're residential, there's just a couple different options for appeal. Basically, it's a vacant lot that may have got assessed, or if it's a vacant house. Otherwise, there's probably very little on a $61 fee that's appealable. Okay, you're non-residential, commercial. There's more latitude in there, probably for justification of appeals, or I don't know where you fell on your assessment, but if what was your motion, 488, that was cut in, if he was up to 488 or more, that's automatically cut in half, so.
Well, I gotta commend Chase for, you know, what the situation he was handed into. I don't think he was the right choice. I think somebody should have been teaching him, you know, being right out of the situation. And I think, you know, I wish that Jim Lampe was more into this than what, and that could have helped out Chase a lot, because you really handed Chase a big plate. And I feel sorry for the boy, you know, and he's not a boy, he's out there, and he's doing a hell of a job trying to keep everyone under control. And
we still have, the option, the people that wrote this up that are experts on it, I mean, you know, they were gonna originally kind of set that, but they wouldn't have been here for the appeals, we still have to have somebody to update documentation. We still have that option, I mean, they've offered to come up here for X number of hours to help, you know, clean up and, you know, if there's any other stuff to do. I personally still want to put that possibly on the table to, you know, to work through this for this year, and then we'd have to assess this for next year to see whether this is even going to continue. So, but we want to get this, you know, we're here, let's try to get it as good as we can. It's like any system, there ain't going to be nothing perfect. I mean, we, you know, as I told somebody the other day, the appraiser's been here for years, and my brother got 2 corrects. I mean, you know,
I'm sure his eyes are open.
I mean, those things, when you deal with 8,000 pieces of data or sheets, you know, and stuff, I mean, you know that there's going to be some stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I haven't even figured out, I mean, I've seen one of the printouts here just the other day, you know, the coding that you have on there that can be determined.
Well, and even when I talk to him, I keep thinking, is 61 too high? You know? I mean, you're hitting a good allotment. And then I even started thinking last night, I'm like, what if the state comes on in and says, guys, your county's going to be bigger than what you are now. You're going to be taking in a heck of a lot more area. Well, then what?
What do you mean by that?
Well, there's talk over in Topeka
There's a committee.
that the separation of the counties, yeah, and that the county, you might take in another county than that little small county that's out there.
Yeah.
Because they can't handle the school, you know, and the schools, some of them are gonna just have to close up, and they're gonna bust in the students, and that's what's happening up there in Troy and Bendina now.
I think what they'll end up doing is talk a lot about it and financially force it.
The what now?
They will talk a lot. About it and get some ideas out there, and then they will design funding mechanisms to almost force it. And that's basically kind of what they've done with the school.
Well, that's what I'm figuring. It's all had to do with the school districts and the whole bit, because they can't keep up with the buildings.
Yeah, you talk to the legislator, that's pretty political, that could be political suicide.
Well, but I kept thinking, okay, what if that does happen? You know, how are you gonna work it, you know? And I'm like, I don't know how you would even attempt to even think about it.
No, because when you look at the neighboring county, I mean, everybody's got a little different system. I mean, there's no one set system. I mean, it seems like every county has a different kind of a system. Now, they do fund their solid waste. I mean, you know, some tipping fee, one of them's got just a private company, they take care of it all. And they just charge each residence charges so much for it. I mean, we're talking even out in the country. So, I mean, it's, you know, Brown County, and they got a landfill that's good for 100 years. Now, they haul off the trash off the waste, but I mean, talking about C&D and all that kind of stuff. Richardson County, Nebraska, brings all their trash down there, and they handle it for them, and they actually make money.
Trying to, how to put this, when you guys were working on the recycling, when you initiated the contract for the 1,500 with the recycling thing, living down in Kansas City and seeing Kay Barnes when she was mayor, and she was the one that turned everything around towards making money for the county. And having our recycling bins down there and the whole bit. Up here, did you guys ever consider, I don't know, I know that when Pauline put the contract in there to get renewed, did anyone even think of, you know, this could make us money here, and instead of, why paying $1,500 when you should be getting a kickback? Are we getting a kickback?
Are you talking about like the current situation that we have?
The control and the dispersing of the items there, we should have been getting some kickback from that.
Yeah, and that's expired like five years ago. I think the contract's expired. You know, with the change that, you know, to what we're doing going in 2013, we talked about this.
We're talking about the haulers, right?
Oh.
You mean
He's
people?
talking about RSP.
He's talking about the recycling portion.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we be getting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're paying $1,500 to the people up there in Brown County. You know, are they giving us back anything?
We're actually, we're paying them $18,000.
Plus utilities, plus we don't have equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed extensively, and once we started initiating the new solid waste study, about a year ago, it was over a year ago, with the city of Ashton, at that point, we knew that we were gonna make a fundamental change. And so with that recycling center, since we don't have a contract in place with that, we needed it to just occupy or continue operation until we make a major change. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for us to try and drop a new contract, because who's probably gonna do a contract for 7 or 8 months with us right now? We require the revenue back, and then we're gonna discontinue your operations at some point, or we don't know what the future of your operations would be. You know, no business would probably enter into a contractual agreement for less than 12 months. Just based on, we don't know the certainty of what you're gonna provide for the county. So, we just decided at that point, you know, let's get this new system up and going, and then address what that will be. And we have some purposes that we can do with that out there, repurposing. We've got some future expansion needs that we're gonna have to address with the ambulance. So,
I think what you're getting at is what was brought to my attention. I mean, recycling is a thing to do, but there's no money in it right now because of the commodity price. Right, I mean, even both the bids that we looked at in the future, these commodity prices are gonna have to go up quite a bit before we even break even. We will actually, in some cases, have to pay a little more to haul off recycling than we do solid waste. Based on it's all based upon the commodity price of your recycling. Now, if individual businesses start doing their own recycling, I mean, that saves us having to handle it, you know. They get a deal worked out where they don't, you know, have to pay too much, while that's to our advantage. Down with the home new race, I mean, there's some things that we see showing up that they're doing their own recycling, you know, and stuff, so that will actually save us some money, you know, because we don't, right now, under the system that we have for funding, there's no incentive to.
Well, I can never figure out why it wasn't making us anything, and we were paying out the $1,500 for it. And I'm like, I know when Benedict handed it to us and the whole bit, that, you know, here the county had to suck up to $1,500 each month, and I'm like, why are we not getting anything for this?
Well, I'm sure I doubt that, you know, I don't know if that wasn't the commodity prices, but I'm not for sure there's any money. I don't know whether they're making any money on it. I don't know why they should be probably making something, but I don't know. I still think that there's a shortfall there, if what these other two companies have told us, you know, based on commodity.
I know Jackson County does very well with it. I don't know how it was set up, I don't know how Kay Barnes and her team did it. But I know that they're making hand over fist over it. So, and I think that you can probably do the same.
Well, it's pre-sorted commodities, yeah, so.
The what now, Jeff?
I said they're dealing with pre-sorted commodities, so.
Oh, yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
huge
Yeah.
plus, and they haven't walked away, we haven't had a contract in place for 5 years, so I assume they're making money. If they weren't making money, they'd probably just close the doors and leave, would be my assumption. So, yeah, that's on the table. We knew with a big fundamental change, they probably wouldn't enter into any routine contract where we get, or at least they would occupy the space without any cost to us. So, I wasn't there, obviously, when they.
Well, she started the water runoff and that whole, water garden thing and all that. So, it was a whole great big plan that she did, so. But I always wondered why, we were wasting that $1,500 when we weren't getting anything. So.
Yeah, like I said, it appears now, what they're telling us on the commodity prices, we wouldn't get anything out of it now anyway. There's no value. I mean, it's like anything else, it has a market value in it, so.
Well, I told Chase, I said, we get a lot of cardboard down there, around the stones and things like that. And I said, I don't know what I can call you and you guys can come on down and pick it up or whatnot, but, I don't know what because the other things that we get, you won't be able to handle.
We've also discussed, we're going to restructure a solid waste committee too, and probably here starting in January. And I think there's been some talk about kind of pushing the recycling forward for non-residential. There's been a lot of interest, a lot of questions, so I know we've had some initial discussions with Deffenbaugh to possibly work on starting to do that. That would probably here over the next 30 to 45 days, we're probably going to see some structure to make some of that available. There are a couple businesses now that have put some of those bins in place already around town, so some that are already diverting already.
So, after you go to the state legislature and the whole bit, it's probably going to take, a whole year for it to get back onto the...
I think we've been saying possibly 2014, I think is what we've been realistically setting in our minds now.
It would probably crowd us. I mean, I've got a friend who's a lobbyist, and he thinks it's not a bad year. The whole key in to change it is to get the cities all to kind of agree on a certain amount that the county gets, and then the rest of it gets divvied back. I mean, that way our hands are tied. We don't have this the way it is now. I mean, basically, they can give whatever they want to, as little or as much, which puts a little bit bill.
I talked to Alan Rivas and Dave Butler down to the opening of Dolby. I think it's probably going to take a year to get it legally. I think we can come up with a gentleman's agreement pretty quick. That's what I get the feeling. But legally, it's going to take a year.
But, you're right. I mean, I personally would feel a whole lot more comfortable if we had it voted right. I mean, it was voted with good intentions. And really, it worked good for almost 10 years. And then some cracks, I call them cracks. I mean, it's not totally broken, but it's getting there. But, I mean, I feel a whole lot more comfortable knowing that I'm going to get a certain percentage, and, hey, that I've got a budget around that, and that's it. I don't have to, I can't cry foul because I'm not getting so much from this city, or I'm not getting so much. I mean, that's what we have to work with. It's going to be a whole lot more budgets, easier to budget with. Right now, in all honesty, if we did what we're doing, the way I look at it, and I'm not saying I mistrust any of the cities, but legally, I would go into another budget year and say, well, we've been collecting 44%. That's our county. That's our share. Should we just budget that and then and just figure out if we get a little bit of these other cities decide to give some, okay, and if not, they keep it. I mean, that's, because it's hard to even write an interlocal agreement that sticks to it, because I could show you the ordinances where they all agreed, when it was voted, that they was gonna give their share of the 1 cent back, but that don't hold water. So, I mean, I think I begin to understand why the legislature did what they did in asking. I mean, if you're gonna divide up, this is what I think Pat tried to explain it, it's called a general county use tax, or a sales tax, or something like that, which basically says you don't, even though it says you're gonna use it for this, it's levied by the county, but it's divvied based upon population valuation. And so the formula is made down at the Department of Revenue. And so then the cities, it's up to the cities to decide what portion they want to give back, to meet what the voters, originated on, or what they supposedly agreed to. Since, I think it was 88 or something like that, Pat thought that's when they changed it. If you wanted to change that or have something for a specific cause in a different percentage, you had to go to the legislature and get that legislated. It is nothing more than a right to take it to the voters. I mean, we can get the legislation. The voters still have to agree that this is the way they want to do that. See, so it's actually a two-step process. And in all actuality, if we could have got something done this spring, it'd have been a good time to do it in an even year, because you could have voted. I talked to two different people. Some people say that you've got to vote the new one in, and then have another vote to repeal the other. Someone else said, no, that if you can get the legislation to write it, you can repeal and replace in one vote. Now, I've got that, I threw that at three different people, and I've got one person that hasn't answered me, and one person says this, and one person says that. So that's where I'm at, okay?
I know the feeling.
And in fact, when I first came on, I spent 2 days at Topeka trying to see, what we could do on that. I mean, but it was, they basically said, listen, go back and make sure your cities all kind of agree, because if you're gonna go through the legislative process, the worst thing you can do is have 4 cities agree and 1 not agree, because the taxation committee will just throw it out. You wanna have a pretty good gentleman's agreement on what's gonna be fair and acceptable for everybody. So, I mean, it's politics, I mean,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's the fairest way. It's like the ball, when they did the ball field, that's the way they did the ball diamonds here. That was specifically went to the legislature, so they want a 1/4 cent sales tax, and that all comes through the county. The county don't get anything. We're the vehicle to go through. The money comes in, we divvy it out, and that's the only thing it goes for. I mean, I can't buy we can't buy steak dinners for the commission or anything. I mean, it's an in and out, and that's the same way we did this. We would be locked into what that money can only be used for. And the other key, I think, which is up to me is very important, is it have to have a sunset date. So, I mean, you decide, do we want to look at this in 5 years? Do we want to look at 7 years? And that gives the voters the chance to say, hey, you guys ain't this ain't being handled right. We want to re-vote it or whatever. So I have no problem with that. I mean, it really puts the monkey on our back, but it also assures us a little more assurity of what we're going to get in the next budget time. Does that make sense? Have I lost it? Or does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
I've had the same type of game situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, to me, that's the best. I mean, the gentleman agreement is all right. I mean, for patching, maybe for a year, to get us into where we can, re-vote things. But there's a lot of education. I cannot believe how many people out there don't understand really kind of the dilemma that we as commissioners are in, not knowing exactly how much. I mean, we realize sales tax fluctuates, but if we knew exactly kind of what percentage we were going to get, we've got enough record now that we can be within probably $50,000 to $60,000 of projected revenue, so that we can supplement it with something. If we have to supplement with property tax user fee or whatever it is, we can, and people know it.
Mm-hmm.
But, see, again, we can't use that money for nothing else then either.
Right.
It
Right.
cannot be used, and then it frees the cities up, they can do with whatever they want to with theirs. Because the people have voted on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they've agreed that that's the way they want it, done. We carry the biggest burden on this deal, is the way I see it.
I've always wanted to ask this, and since I'm here, I'm going to ask it. But towards the Harwai donation of the senior village, is that in a separate fund that is,
Yes, it is.
so it doesn't get used by, it's just typically used for the senior
All it
village,
can
right?
be used for, cannot be used for anything else.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
In fact, basically, they have their own separate budget within our budget. We subsidize, what is it, because of, we give them $10,000 and that, otherwise they're, no, it's 10.
$10,000 for one for the ages.
For the age. Yeah, that's a separate fund.
Yeah. They're pretty much self-sustained in that way.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and it was all fixed. Okay. Oh, I could go on. But I won't.
Well, I want to.
I'll make it on another day.
I'm glad to hear you understand a little bit, and I side with you 100%. I mean, whatever they agree on, we can live with, but just knowing that little security and knowing, have a little bit of an idea of what we can expect from sales tax makes me feel a little easier in making a budget and not having to worry at the last minute, because we have a city this year that decided that they've been 100% payer for all these years, and they decided they was only going to pay half their fee.
Well, when you walk on in to a courthouse, and I get a little leery here, because when you walk on in, you see a lot of people with frowns on their faces, and they're not smiling a lot, okay? And some of them are my friends. So you have to ask yourself, what is going on here? What is happening here? And I know that there's been a lot of, how do I want to say it? I don't know, political or the way, maybe old-fashioned, maybe going, for people that have been here for a long time, they are set in a certain way that they can't break. And it, unfortunately, outside, it's a different world. And I think that you have to look at salaries that are being done and what the structure is of the courthouse and the county of the way you're running it. And that's where I think that's where you need to really look at and see, and maybe you can open up your eyes to a lot of pictures of what's going on, towards the way people feel and where they are up here,
The courthouse is a big place, people that come out of court, they go to court.
Oh, I know. But I'm talking about the offices down below that take care of the local community, that type of thing. And, you get Jim Lamptey in a room all by himself, and he's fabulous. And he'll, he can talk straightforward right to you of what, they're seeing and all that. So, but then when he gets in with the certain group, it's like, it's like this. And total different guy. So, but to bring up some things of my friends, now that there's going to be changes starting in January, are you planning on taking a look at the structure of the book that, is the rules of the court, of the county, of how things are run up here. You know what I'm talking about?
Like, which structural changes are you talking about?
I'm talking about the book structure that was done by, John Calhoun and Peggy Howe, which I don't think they should have had any part of making for the county.
That's something that we do need to review. When we talk about structure, we don't have like just one person that handles that. I mean, you're talking about multiple people that have to be involved with.
Right, and they took it upon themselves of handling all the multiple people in the booklet, and I don't think that was right. I don't think, John Calhoun should have had the deal of handling, nor Peggy Howe, because they're not down here. John has his own deal with the sheriff department, and that's 24-hour system. Peggy Howe has the senior village, so how can you figure they're going to take the people that work for our county offices downstairs to be included in that? They can't. They can't.
Well, I think coming up here in January, I think it'd be a good time to address, to review that. There's a lot of things that I think we encounter probably on a monthly, weekly basis that are in the policy and procedures manuals that we question or are unclear about or why it's structured. I mean, stuff like that needs to be updated periodically. I was not around when it was originally structured. I think it was 2009. Am I wrong, or is that about when the policy and procedures manuals were structured?
Oh, they had it over there.
I think it was like 2009.
Yeah, 2009, right there on the front.
It says revised 2009.
Revised, so original draft was probably, who knows?
Well, I think it's something that should be looked at, and I also think that the salary structure should be looked at, because if you're having the city making more than your workers up here, something's wrong. Something is desperately wrong.
What do you think it is?
I think there's a lot of people that are holding back in their departments and so forth. And they're not giving the correct salaries that should be given up here.
So
Go back on you, the taxpayer, if they would get make more salary, more money.
Listen, if the city is paying what they're paying, pardon me, that don't make sense.
Well, that don't mean the city has nothing.
No, the city has their deal and they're milking it. And I don't know what in the heck is happening up here at the county, but you can be, there's, towards certain departments. I know certain things here, but it's just that some are underpaid and some are not getting the right handshake. And I think you need to look at who's getting salaries and who's not.
Well, we've talked, this isn't like a new subject, but we have talked about different types of pay structures. That's something that's changed, that model has changed, so, I don't know if you're talking about performance-based pay system or merit-based system or what, I don't know what.
I'm talking about the pay system. The
Yeah.
pay system here, it's off. It's off.
Okay.
You're not paying attention to your main people that are running the offices. It's off.
Like the official's supposed to make more than another.
There's some people that haven't gotten raises for 15 to 16 years. Is that right?
No.
No, it ain't right. It ain't right.
I don't got raised
No, accurate.
2 years ago, I got a raise 2 years ago.
3 years ago, and the raise this year, slight raise.
They asked you for a 3% this year, you gave them 2. Okay? That still don't make up for the 15, 16 years that they haven't gotten any free will from their main head person. That ain't right.
Well, that's definitely something here, I think we could discuss, in January when we get, Tom's going off, we got Mr. Pohl coming on. I think it'd probably be a good time to probably discuss and suggest that. I mean, without having that, without having like direct people that would address that, we would have to have multiple people involved with that decision-making process.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think we have a good point.
And towards this phone thing, why are you looking at a new phone system? You've got a phone system.
Because companies like AT&T are charging more for existing older copper lines, and if anybody's used the internet in the courthouse during the last week, you'll see why we had huge issues with bandwidth.
But the guy he can only give you a system, he can't put it in for you. Why? Why would you do that? That's paying like double of what you're even doing.
I'm a little lost.
Your gentleman that offered the phone line system
Mm-hmm.
to you,
Yeah.
he can only give you that system, but he can't put it in for you.
No, part of the agreement is with the Alexander Open Systems to install it. I mean, it's gonna take a combination of multiple people to work on that. That's a huge system.
You've got a good system now. And it's handled with the right person.
Okay.
They can come up, they can do anything you want. I don't understand why you would even be looking at a new system. Unless you just want to lose money. Throw it away.
Actually, we're saving money by upgrading. So, I mean, there's multiple things tied in with that, but.
Pardon me, I have to take this call. I'll be right back. It's hard to be Broadway.
No need to hurry, though.
Paul Burchett.
Huh?
Do you have Bird Memorial?
Paul Burchett.
Chase, did you get anything, or?
You're gonna go.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm enjoying the show, but I gotta go.
We thought it came to
No new news. I left Mr. Price with a message, resent him the updated stuff. Yeah, I think he might be gone for the day, so we might not get anything done new tonight.
Hi, Chase.
All right. Yeah.
Now, you have those letters, I mean,
I haven't
redone them, will you have them accessible tomorrow? I mean, so that, because I'm curious, I mean, there's people starting to flood in, and
You should
I
put
really
them
think
on.
it's gonna save us a lot.
Right.
Because, I mean, there could be quite a few people already come in and pay if we wait until next Tuesday, so I mean, I know it's a little extra cost to us to have that printed up, but I think it sure save us.
Yeah, the notice going out in the mailers, that's we've been quoted at either $3,500 for standard mail or $5,101. For first class mail, which the IT or the postal presort said, given the high volume of this time of year, if you wanted to get somewhere before a certain time, we would definitely suggest the $1,500 upgrade. So, but then in addition to that, we can put it on the website. You can you can print it out and have it in every office. You can have it sitting by everybody's office so they can grab it. I mean, we can make it very available.
Well, I mean, we gotta reach out, I mean, we messed up, we didn't get that out, and I think that's a good effort, at least that they know when they come in, I mean, here they can read before they pay, so they know what their options are, and kind of what they're obligated to, and this and that, and because otherwise, I think it'll save you a lot of headaches.
I'm looking forward to saving myself a lot of headaches. It's kind of been a slow couple days, which really worries me, because that's going to be a calm before the storm. I'm pretty much guessing Thursday on it's going to be, I need to have as much done beforehand, get everything printed out and get ready for a high volume of people to
even though we extended, we've extended the deadline, so. do people
That's something
understand?
that would really help, get communicated, is you don't have to have your appeal in by the 20th, but, you do, it is hard to differentiate between
But I think if
having a
they're
payment
coming
and an appeal in. I mean, most people would opt to do both.
Yeah, I mean, if people are gonna come in and pay, by having the letter there, at least they know it. And the people are gonna mail in, if they've already done it, and now they get the mailer and explain how they know what. And it does give them another 6 weeks, basically, to analyze their position and concern and stuff. So, I mean, it'll actually spread your process. Everybody's okay.
Outside. Surprise. Yes.
Thank you for the time, guys.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
You're a pleasure to have. We enjoy you. Well, you present a very good constructive.
Huh?
Yeah, it's constructive criticism.
Well, there's just some things that, my friends that I have downstairs that are working, and they never get to come on up here to express their opinion. And I think maybe that should change. I really think that they should come on up and be able to say, certain things.
Those are just proposals, so we need to.
Quite a difference in
Yeah. Well, they're both under the amount, they have to go out and solicit 3 bids for anyway, so. Then we could have,
Yeah, he presented this the other day, and we just didn't act until we got clarification from Pat on that. Not that this is only number one, so I think we can approve that, can't we?
is that okay with you, any
Yeah.
discussion? Entertain a motion to approve the proposal from Michael Hunley Construction Incorporated for repair of railings in the amount of $1,882 for the north ramp and $565 for the east stairs.
Happy holiday to y'all.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
You bet. I would move we accepted the bid by Hunley for those 2 projects, one 1882, the other is 565.
Wait a second.
a second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I just have one more letter that I need to send to the state treasurer.
You want to initial this?
Okay, yeah, that'd be fine. And I'm gonna take on, I'm gonna do the 2012 budget, which I'll have to you by Wednesday.
On the joint communications.
Yeah, joint communications, things about like law enforcement. Or review on Wednesday,
Okay.
because I'll have to publish it to the, a date and December 26th.
Okay.
I'll have a few by Wednesday.
When, 2 days, yeah.
Yeah.
What day? What day's meeting?
Yeah.
There's,
Okay.
Tom, you can initial that to it,
Oh, yeah, Tom.
the proposal.
It's after 5, actually. I so move, Mr. Chairman. Adjourn at 5:05.
I'll second.
I would like one of those letters, the notification.
Keep mine to fix, because I made some marks on it.
Yeah.
For them to fix.
I'd like to correct it.
You want the edited version or you want the?
The edited, the final version.
Yeah, I think he was trying to work on getting that drafted up. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, he got that phone call.
County can operate for a day or two, I just pay my taxes.
You keep playing in full.
Pay their full.
I was down at, it's 6 versus